Goshen Theater Drama Club members, Goshen Theater fans, friends, and family, welcome to episode lucky number 7 of Goshen Theater Drama Club Table Talks. Today we are welcoming our regular panelists, Miss Molly and Miss Katie, and our special guest panelist today is Paul Regano of the Regano Songbook in New York City. Welcome, Paul. Thanks for being here.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yeah, this is great. So I am Amber Burgess. I am the producing director of the Goshen Theater Drama Club Summer Program and the managing director at the Goshen Theater. I'm here for all of your arts administration and venue rental needs. And if you would like to register for our summer program, head over to goshentheater.com. And there's plenty of links to register over there. And Miss Katie, give us a little introduction.
Hi friends, I'm Miss Katie. I'm an actress. I'm based out of Chicago. I come from Missouri. My family's still in Missouri. Hello, family. I went to school at Missouri State University down in Springfield, Missouri. I have a BFA in musical theater. If you recognize me at all, it's probably because I worked in Napanee at the Round Barn Theater for a few seasons, and I directed their kids' camps for the past 4 years. And now I am the camp director for our camp here at Goshen Theater this year. So that's a little bit about me. Miss Molly, take it away.
Hello, I am Miss Molly. I was raised here in Goshen, and I have my BFA in musical theater performance from Western Michigan University. So I'm an actor, singer, dancer. I'm also a choreographer and intern here at the Goshen Theater. I'll be your choreographer and instructor for the Goshen Theater Drama Club with all of these lovely folks, so I'm very excited for that. I also was at the Round Barn Theater when I was very little. I was 9 years old, so I met Amber there, and now we're working together, and we get to talk to you guys. Paul?
Hi, like Miss Molly said, I'm Paul Regano. Like Amber said, I'm half of the Regano Songbook. We're a composition musical theater composing team based out of New York City. I am from New York, born and bred, although I've worked all over from Chicago to Texas and Massachusetts and anywhere else you can think of. Not really. Still haven't done Bangladesh, but I'm happy to be here. Anyway, let's get to the talking. Table.
Let's get to the talking. Let's sidle on up to the talking table. Time to table talk. Wow. This is coffee, if you couldn't tell. So this week's episode is What I'd Wish I'd Known. We're going to give you guys some wisdom about the things that when we were your age, we wish that we had known about the business or about performing. And obviously, every week at the beginning of the episode, we look at some of your questions from the previous week. And we got some humdingers this week. These are some questions that I had when I was younger. So hopefully, at least one of them is. Hopefully, we can enlighten you. Miss Katie, I think you have our first question for the week.
I do. So the question is, do shows ever go from beginning to end without anything going wrong? Because all we've been stressing is all the things that go wrong, right? There are plenty of shows, nothing interesting as in nothing bad. No one gets hurt, no set pieces break, no technical issues. There's plenty of time that happens, I promise. However, we tend to remember the bad because for us, that was when we as actors had to really think on our feet and take care of the situation that was presented to us while still staying in character. And so those are the ones we tend to remember the most. But I'm sure that there's plenty of shows I've had that nothing went wrong. But I will say that it's really hard for a cast of 30 people for someone not to have something go wrong, because we're all human and life is not perfect. I mean, do you have a day where absolutely nothing goes wrong? Probably not. So I would say that our shows are probably the same, but it could be as simple as, oh, my shoe came untied during the scene. That's not a big deal. Like, you walked off stage and you tied your shoe. So like those things don't really stick in your mind that much. And we tend to think the show was just fine. Like, if it didn't cause a problem to the storyline, we're pretty good. Anyone else, any thoughts?
I remember there's an old adage, and I'll just real quick, and then I'll let you hop right in there, Paul. Just we're at the talking table. There's this old adage that says the best way to make friends is to go through adversity. with somebody. So that's why I feel like I remember the shows where something goes wrong really well, because that's when I had the opportunity to make friends the most, because we were all going through something difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a bonding experience. Then that's what sticks with you. But I think it really, just to emphasize what Miss Katie said, just there's going wrong, and then there's like train wreck. There have been times when I've missed a dance step. There have been times when I've played a chord not exactly the way it was written in the sheet music, but it still is the right chord. And that's, while it's technically not a perfect game for all my sports fans out there, it's a perfectly acceptable show. And no one in the audience is going to go, by golly, he voiced the seventh on the bottom in the right hand. That's not what's written. So
If you're looking for sports fans, you probably came to the wrong table talk.
I'm a rascal.
Miss
What can I
Katie,
say?
Hold
Miss
up.
Katie has something to say.
Not all of us are not sports fans.
That's true.
Blues hockey and Cardinals baseball is where it's
That's
at
right.
now.
Packers
And I will fight
away.
anyone.
That's right. Some of us are fans of watching a bunch of grown men lose a lot, I guess. That's
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Then be fighting words, Paul. You better hope this quarantine lasts a little longer so that I can cool off.
Miss Molly?
I was trying to think if I had more to add. I mean, yeah, things do go right, and I think when things go wrong, it teaches you how to be prepared for things to go wrong, and when you're more prepared, then also things tend to go right more often. So yeah, things go right, and it's nice. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Molly, I think you had our next question from last week's episode.
I do. This is a really good one. So the question was, what's the difference between Tuesday, Thursday free lessons and the summer camp for the drama club? Yes. So our lessons that are on Facebook, Tuesday and Thursday, those are for everyone that wants to be in drama club, people basically everywhere, and they're free. The difference with drama club is it's a 3-week curriculum that you will get to participate in virtually, which we have some really, really amazing plans for. And there is a small tuition. So if you do 1 week, it's $100. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think I'm right. And then 3 weeks is $250. Scholarships are available, but you get materials. We have lessons in theater in lots of different aspects. You'll be performing. We're putting together a big showcase. You'll have that all on video. We're going to, I think, do some professional recording. So that's going to be a really awesome experience. I don't know if Amber wants to speak more about Drama Club, Miss Katie, Paul. Yeah, but it's going to be really great.
Yeah, I think that one of the other big differences is that the individual lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays they're kind of designed, right, Miss Molly, for me anyway, when I teach a voice lesson or an individual lesson, it's just designed to be something that can get you up on your feet, something to motivate you to make some art or maybe sing or dance on a given day. With the drama club, it is to really make you a better creative artist. And to make you a better theater artist. And it really has some big learning objectives. We're teaching big topics like theater history or technical theater and stuff that we really don't have the time or the resources to dig into for the free Tuesday, Thursday lessons. The other thing you get with camp is a pack of art supplies for all of the projects. You get a textbook and design sheets and all kinds of cool materials that will go along with the drama club. That obviously Tuesday, Thursday lessons are just something small. But yeah, you get all of that stuff with drama club too. Miss Katie, you have anything to add?
I think anyone who's interested in drama club for the summer, I think you should be doing those Tuesday, Thursday lessons, because they are building blocks for what tools we'll be using in camp. So if you start practicing those tools now, you'll already have them in your back pocket for camp use. Because in addition to the curriculum for history lessons and technical theater, we are putting a final performance product together. We are going to be learning dance numbers and singing numbers, and there's going to be solos available. And we're going to take all that and create a virtual art piece for you guys to keep forever. And we're going to feature our lessons, little snippets and all the things you've made throughout the 3 weeks. So it's a bigger thing, and it's all culminating to show what you did for the 3 weeks. But you should start using your practice skills now and do those lessons on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And they're all still up on Facebook. You could go back and do them. Paul has taught lessons for us. And Paul, it'd be great if on Tuesday of this next week, if you wanted to do a voice lesson, if you're available.
I was actually just about to say after we taped today, like, if you want me to do any more of those, I had so much fun. And
They're great, aren't they fun?
Embarrass Goshen Theater too much with my technical mishaps. But yeah, I'd love to.
That's awesome. Paul, I
Next
think.
week we tackle Sondheim.
Okay.
Oh,
And I know things now, many valuable things.
there you go.
Yeah, just saying. Paul, I think you got a question.
I did.
This is a tough one.
This is a really tough one. Should I try to be an actor for my grown-up job? I am going to cite the wise words of a philosopher named Yoda. There's a moment in when the Empire in The Empire Strikes Back where Luke has to lift his X-wing out of the swamp, and Yoda tells him to do it by using the Force, and he's like, "There's no way I can do it." And he says, "Do it." And he says, "All right, well, I'll try." And Yoda says, "No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try." And that's a piece of wisdom that I carry with me have carried with me through my entire life. It's so should you try to be an actor for your grown-up job? I can't tell you that because I don't know you. The answer is do it. If this is something that you have to do, then you have to do it. One other piece of wisdom: when I was a little kid, there was this, like, it was in my kindergarten class, there was this like activity day. There was no real structure to it. There were a bunch of like stations where there was like finger painting and something else. But I was like a very conscientious, rule following child. So I was like, all right, I have to do this station. I haven't done that yet. So I walked over to, I don't know, the clay molding, whatever. I don't know what it was, but I walked over and one of my friends was walking away from the table. And I remember turning to him and being like, Kevin, wait, do we have to do this? And he looked at me and he goes, "If you want to, you have to," and walks away. Just dropped that beautiful little nugget in my lap. And again, something that I had carried with me for the last years since I was in kindergarten. So basically, everyone who you're looking at here in this video who does it, we do it because there's nothing else that we could possibly do. Not that we're not good at any other things, but that this is what we have to do to fulfill our souls. And if you're worried about the stability of the of a career in the theater, sure, it's there, but it's also an incredibly uplifting community, and you will find people who will help you at every turn. Life is uncertain in general, and it's too short to waste it doing something safe. That's what I say. So yeah, you should. If this is something that you really feel passionate about, yes is the short answer. Do it. Don't try to do it. Just do it.
Paul, I love your optimism that just came from that. I do. No, I do. I wholeheartedly believe everything that Paul just said. However, I will say that as an actor, it's not easy. And for me to sit here and tell you that just go do it if that's what you want. Like, I need to be a little harsh, not too harsh, because I've had those who were harsh with me over the years who told me, if there's anything else you can see yourself doing for your life, do it, because it's easier. Like, if you cannot be told no over and over and over and over more times than you're ever told yes, and get back up and keep trying, this job is not for you. If you cannot feel like this is the way that you want to spend your life, like, literally, I've slept on people's couches, I've slept on mattresses on the floor. Like, you have to be willing to move a lot. You have to be willing to just give up your apartment for months at a time kind of situation and go be somewhere else. Like, it just really depends on your personality. If you cannot work hard, even if you are not seeing necessarily the fruit of your labor, because you're not booking nonstop, then maybe this job isn't for you. But if you are hardworking and you are determined to make this work, you will find a way. That is what I will say. If you truly, truly want this and you are willing to put in the work, and you're willing to hear no a lot, you will find a way. I promise you, if you work hard enough, you will find a way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm feeling like so inspired after hearing what you have to say. I was trying to think of like what I would add. I feel fortunate in the fact that when I was growing up, even if it wasn't something that like I like said out loud, I think I always knew that theater and musical theater and music was something that was going to be a huge part of my life and a huge part of my career in some way. I just really fell in love with it, and it was like how my brain worked and all those types of things. So if that's you, like, don't try and stress out too much about planning out exactly what that's going to look like, because you can't really plan out that far ahead. I mean, I had so many plans even for the summer in terms of performing that have completely changed, obviously, because a lot is happening, but that can happen anytime, even if it's not as crazy of a situation as this. So just keep doing the next right thing and keep building those skills. And I would say to build a lot of skills in a lot of different areas. Something that I really love about theater is that I'm able to like do arts administration with Amber, and I'm also able to choreograph, and I love performing, but I also really love teaching. And I feel like those skills down the line, you know, like if I don't want to be moving around as much, I like have the ability to be in one place and like perform here, but maybe choreograph here. And I really love fitness. So I've found a lot of passions outside of theater, but it's not even outside, it's just sort of all together for me. And I try and use them in the best way that I can and work as hard as I can where I'm at. And I'm working on myself trying not to plan ahead too much. But if you work hard where you're at and just keep doing the next right thing, I think that will be great.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would add is that there's a lot of ways to be a theater artist. And in America, we have this vision because of movies of one way to be an actor on the stage, which is you pack up 2 suitcases, you put on a cute hat, you get on a bus or train, you go to New York City, you step off of that bus or train, a hush falls over the city because you have arrived, and you do one audition, you get cast, you're on Broadway, and then you are on Broadway forever. And maybe there's some conflict with a boy that you meet at a soda shop or some sort of contrivance of this movie. But I think this sort of American cinematic notion of what it is to be a successful stage actor gets in the way for a lot of folks, because there are a lot of ways to be an actor. There are regional theaters all over the country. That's one. There's also a ton of semi-professional communities. Most major cities have a blossoming semi-professional community. Even South Bend has an amazing semi-pro community where you can make a small amount of money, and basically as a part-time job on evenings and weekends, as a part-time job, you could be an actor. And then maybe there's something else that you find fulfilling that you could do during the day. I remember when I lived in Cincinnati, when I was right out of college, I was teaching violin lessons and making costumes and doing theater in the evening and on weekends. And it's like, it was great. And I had the energy to do it at the time. But I think the idea that being a professional actor means that you have to go to one particular city in one particular way and take some crazy risk, that's not true. There's a bunch of ways to get to that destination. And if you want to be an actor and you're acting, you are an actor already. Yeah, your art doesn't have to be the way that you make enough money to eat. Your art can still just be your art and be your art for the rest of your life. That's it. Whew.
Such a simple question, such a long and involved answer.
Yes, that's almost
a difficult question.
It's almost an episode by itself, but
Really?
That's a great question, and we may expand on that one and talk about different ways to do this as your job, because we've talked about how to get the job, but we've never talked about this being your job. So yeah, today's show is probably going to be very similar in the dispensing of wisdom. Today's show is what I wish I'd known. We had an idea for this one because we all have these little nuggets of things, these little pieces of of things that we've learned that if we could tell our younger self, it would have made our lives a lot easier. So that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start with Miss Katie, I believe. And then at the end of the episode today, we're going to let you guys in on what episode 8 is all about. So stick around. But Miss Katie, what's one thing that you wish you had known?
One thing I wish I would have known is that you're going to be okay, right? Have confidence in what you're doing. I struggle with confidence. It all leads back to that lovely mental disorder I have called anxiety and depression, that I've battled all of my life. And so that hinders my confidence level a lot. I also have a lot of body issues because I am a plus size actress, always have been. My entire life I've been a plus size girl. And when you're told over and over again that there's a cookie cutter for success in this business, it becomes very hard, especially back when I was growing up, when there were not plus size actresses like Rebel Wilson and we had very few in the 90s. Like there were emerging, like Queen Latifah was coming out, Rosie O'Donnell was coming around, like, but you didn't have a whole lot. And you definitely didn't have the younger generation really represented very much. So I grew up thinking, well, if I want to do this, I have to be skinny, I have to be pretty. And it created a lot of issues for me over the years. I'm one of the lucky ones. I never ended up with like an eating disorder or anything like that. I was lucky in this business that's rampant. But confidence is what it all comes down to for me. Because I work hard. I work really hard. I feel like I work my butt off to get where I am. And if I would just have a little more confidence every step of the way, I feel like I would make my life a little easier along the way as well. Because I feel like I hold myself back. I'm afraid of failure. And so if my confidence was stronger, maybe I would take more opportunities than what I have over the past. So, sorry, I'm getting a little weepy about this. Maybe this was not a good idea.
This is a great idea. Like, I think any of these things that are like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have known, they're strong things. They're big things. So, no, that's natural. I think that confidence issue is so universal though, Katie. That's the other thing. Like, everybody has perceptions of themselves as being less than other people. And like, you're talking about one of the like secrets of unlocking like the next level of your life is, first of all, accepting yourself as you are, which you have done. And then like the second thing would be like living within who that is and loving that person. And I think that's so, in this industry, you're told that's not the way to go. But then everybody that breaks out into stardom has something different about them. They're not the perfect cookie cutter. And the thing that made them stand out from the crowd is this thing that they had to accept and love and cultivate in themselves. Because those things that you don't like about yourself, kids, super secret, that's your superpower. That thing that makes you different, that bothers you, that is the thing about you that is super special. And even if you hate it right now, it is something about you that is a super amazing special thing. And like there are shows, we've talked about type before. There are shows where like, oh, we need somebody who's this and this. They need somebody who's those 5 things because someone stood out from the crowd who had those 5 things. And like, maybe you'll be a person who aligns with those 5 things, or maybe you'll have your own special list of stuff that will make someone look at you in an audition or a workshop and go, that is the person I want. That's the energy. That's the like love, the level of love for others and the level of love for themselves that I want to see in my show and I want my audience to experience. So getting to the place where you love those things and are confident about who you are, like deep down. Oh, that's huge, Miss Katie. I love it.
If I can piggyback on what Miss Amber said there, where are you?
I think
straight up.
So just speaking specifically to we need someone who can do this, and this because we had someone who did this, and this. The best example of that is when I look at the role of Fiona in Shrek. If Shrek had been written in 1995, she would have been a soprano who had a good who had to be, when you were casting Shrek in your regional theater, following that, she would have been, you needed a soprano who was pretty, I guess. Like, there wouldn't be a lot to it. And Sutton Foster, who originated the role on Broadway, is someone who did what Miss Amber said. And she said, she's a beautiful, very talented woman, but she's not your typical ingenue type. She's a little taller. She has a very specific and, like, quirky isn't the word, but a very specific look. She's not cookie cutter at all. And because of that, she learned so many things that she said, I'm going to just try everything because I'm making my own type. And now she is a type. Anyone who's going to play Janet Van de Graaff in Drowsy Chaperone or Fiona in Shrek, people say, oh, I want to play Fiona, but I can't tap dance. Well, what? Just because Sutton, they mined Sutton's talents for all that they could. So when you do Shrek or when you do whatever, you can bring, I've seen productions of Drowsy Chaperone, I also mentioned, where people try to recreate what she did, and it's fine. But when I see someone who says, we just cast a young woman who can just do a lot of things and let her show her talents and the things that make her special and unique, those are the best Janet Van de Graaffs I've ever seen.
Any input, Miss
Molly?
I know, I was like trying to think, I was like, oh no, it's like my turn to say something, but I'm kind of just stoking up everything that you guys are saying. I feel like I'm like in an interesting position in this conversation because there are a lot of things that I feel like I have learned that I wish I would have known, but I also feel like just starting out in this career, there's so much that, like, in 5 to 10 years, I'll be like, oh, like, I wish I would have known that now. So, like, it's really honestly inspiring to hear all of you talk as I'm sort of starting on this journey that you have been on. Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Katie, and, like, especially with acting, it's just one of those things where, like, not in a selfish way, but, like, you're thinking about yourself a lot, thinking about your skills. Other people are, like, looking at you and, like, wanting you to be able to do certain things. And it's just a lot of, like, focusing on what you can do. And sometimes if you feel like you can't do something, it's like, oh, like, that really gets to me because that's what I have to think about all the time as an actor. So I would definitely say to, like, just really, really figure out, like, what makes you who you are, because if you just try and be everything, and I feel like this is a lot of what Paul is saying, but then, like, there's no you to express. Like, being an actor is, like, expressing who you are. Like, I bring so much of myself to every character that I play, but if I'm just, like, not really sure who I am and kind of all over the place, then that's going to come out in my acting too. So, and I do have a lot of things in my life outside of theater that are really, really important to me. And I feel like I try and spend as much time as I can on those things too, because that's, like, who Molly is. And then I can bring that to my work. And it's hard to, sometimes as an actor, it feels like you're always working. Like, other jobs, like, oh, at 5 p.m., like, I'm done working. When you're an actor, it's like, you kind of feel like you can never stop, but it's okay to, like, take a little bit of time to be like, you know what, I really like fitness, so I'm going to take this time to work on that for a little bit. And then when I bring that back to my acting, it's just, I don't know, it all feels like it's me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is that the thing you'd wished that you had known?
I feel like a lot of, I feel like it is. I've always been the type of person that has had a lot of interests, and theater has always been at the center of it. Like, the fact that I wanted to do this, the fact that I want to be an actor and that I am an actor now has never been something that I've questioned. But I think it kind of goes back to what Amber was saying about how, like, there's not necessarily one path or one direction. And I really love, especially when I was in college, I worked in admissions. I really loved giving tours. Since I love teaching so much, I really loved, like, helping other students who were kind of going through the journey figure out what it is that they were looking for. And one of the things that I would tell people, and, like, was true for me, is that if you're going to be successful in this field, I firmly believe that you will be successful no matter where you choose to go on your path, because, like, that's the type of person that you are, and that's the work ethic that you have. So I guess one piece of advice or thing I wish I would have known, if if you're maybe thinking about auditioning for colleges or that sort of thing, is, you know, really find the places that feel right for you. And even if that's not like the big musical theater school that like all the Broadway stars come out of, that doesn't mean that you won't find that sort of success, even if it looks different for you. There's not a right way to do this. Yeah, that was a lot of different things. Oh, and also I would say another thing I wish I would have known is that I tend to be like among my friends like the nice friend. Like some people tell me I'm too nice. That could be true in certain situations. And sometimes I felt like, oh man, I'm seeing like other people get these opportunities and I've just like, or like maybe they like haven't been the kindest person or this and this and this, but being kind and like being a good person will get you success, even if it doesn't feel like that at the time. That's another thing I wish I would have known. I just said a million things, so I will stop talking, but that's my 2 cents.
I really like the idea of don't be scared to still do other stuff. A lot of college programs and folks will tell you have to completely focus on this. And if you can't do a double pirouette, get out of the business or whatever. And I always felt like as a casting director and as someone who is like the gatekeeper to people being successful in the business, like someone who was casting people and paying them to be artists, I always loved to see folks who did other stuff too. I didn't want to see theater zombies. Like if all of your special skills are centered around theater, like if you could tell me every Tony winner from 1907 on for Best Musical, and then oh no, Paul, if like every single thing that you do is centered on this one discipline and you can't have a real conversation with somebody. If I'm casting To Kill a Mockingbird. If I'm casting To Kill a Mockingbird, there are no people who know Broadway musicals forward and backward in To Kill a Mockingbird. There's plenty of real people who have real careers, real jobs, real interests, real struggles. If you've never experienced anything like any of that or read a book about any of that, if everything you've ever read has been a memoir of Julie Andrews, you may not have the relatable experience necessary to be the right person for that show. So be a real person, like have other interests. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, regarding the I have to go to a school where all the Broadway people come out of, there are a lot of great programs and there are a lot of really good like conservatories, again, where you are laser focused on your art and being an artist and creating the best. But one of the things that I really loved about getting a liberal arts degree, you know, I have a Bachelor of Arts with a concentration in theater, but the chair of my department, one of the smartest things I ever heard him say was theater, and I would amend this to say good theater is not about theater. It's about science, or it's about psychology, or it's about love, it's about, you know, so many other things that you have to experience and understand to be a good theater artist. And if yeah, there's a great sketch where someone is injured while he's doing a 4K on a bike, and the doctor says, 4K, what I know what I know what a thermometer is, but and everyone who appears in the sketch only knows their one thing. And it's very brilliant and funny, but it's also like, I remember watching that and being like, yeah, that's why you got to know what a 4K is if you want to treat someone's injuries. That's what I'm saying.
Miss Katie?
We just cut that section out.
Yeah, so kind of going off of what you guys are saying, the versatility of your skills is also something to keep in mind, because as actors, you will most likely need a day job. And the more skills you have within the theater realm, the more likely you can make your day job still part of theater. And to me, that has been huge the past few months, because I had been managing this really busy restaurant bar in Chicago. And And then I was presented with the opportunity to go manage a cafe bar that is housed within a big theater with a 7-theater venue in Chicago. And the amount of like happiness I feel when I walk in the door to work, I'm doing the same kind of job. I'm still managing like food and bar and cafe. Like that job hasn't necessarily changed, but I'm surrounded by other theater people and I'm in a theater, and that has always been where I have always been the happiest. So like my day job, I don't hate. And I think that is a goal to have as an actor, is to not have to hate our day job. And when you find a day job that you don't hate, like it's rare. I think it's very rare. On another note, like I had a professor right before I graduated college. I had never taken a class with her. She knew me by sight basically, and she sat down and talked with me, and she's like, what other things can you do? And I was like, oh, well, I've worked in the costume shop, and like I like kids. And she's like, okay, so when you graduate, you put on your website, you advertise that you have workshops for children, and you advertise that you worked in a costume shop, because people will hire you for those things, and then you're not working in a bar or serving at a restaurant, and you don't have to hate your life. Like, and so that's another avenue for me. Like I've always been someone who worked well with children. Even when I was a child, like I was the leader in like my Sunday school class. Like I helped the teacher. I was the special helper all the time. I helped babysit in the nursery nonstop. If you have that avenue for you, you like kids, but I don't want to be a teacher year round necessarily. They have a very hard job that I am not prepared for. But in small increments, I thrive. So that's just one more thing. Like I have this skill with kids, and I can teach them the skills I already have in theater, and hopefully cultivate a love for theater for that child. So like have all those other skills and utilize them outside of just performing or whatever avenue in the theater that you are going for. And then you may not have to hate your day job.
You may not have to.
I make no promises. I don't want to get any lawsuits that I told you something.
Please be directed by a physician. So, Paul, what's the thing that you wish you had known?
Well, I feel like I'm a bit of a broken record, but yeah, I think there were a lot of crossroads for me as a theater professional, because I came up as a performer, as an actor, and my whole life I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to perform, I wanted to be on stage, I wanted to star in a musical. And then when I was 15, 16 years old, I music directed my first show at the local elementary school. And I had been playing piano, and I loved playing piano for a long time, but this was the first time that someone gave me money to do it. And I just kept doing that on the side. And eventually, by the time I was graduating college, I was about neck and neck, 50-50 with my time spent music directing or playing piano and performing. And all my professors were saying, you have to choose. You have to choose. Are you going to be a music director, or are you going to be an actor? And throughout your career, you're going to have a lot of moments like that and a lot of choices. And I think it's a false choice. You have to choose right now what you're going to do, but you don't have to say, I'm only going to be I've done both in my career. It's possible. And so, sometimes I say right now I'm focusing on acting, and I'm going to do that. And sometimes I'm going to focus on being a musician. So basically, when you are making a choice, I just hit my computer. There is no such thing as the right choice or the wrong choice. Because there's whatever choice you make, you're going to live with, and ultimately you're going to have regrets, and you're going to say, thank God I didn't do that, to every possible scenario. There are too many variables to say that one is absolutely right and one is absolutely wrong. So don't stress about choices, is what I'm trying to say. I was just making an important choice like that a few months back, and I spoke to David Chase, who is a very, very smart and accomplished Broadway arranger and music director. And he said the best reason that I ever had for making any choice in my career was because I was going to have fun doing it. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about connections. It wasn't about whatever. Ultimately, the best choices I made were driven by my desire to be happy. So follow that. That and do things that you don't want to do. Those are the two things that I wanted to tell myself. So there's no such thing as a wrong choice. There's also no such thing as a right choice. And do things that you don't want to do.
I love that, especially do things you don't want to do. Like just work.
Yeah.
Like if you have an offer, there are so many times as a casting director, I would send a crazy offer to somebody, like 9 months of work, a moderately good living wage, free housing, some meals, free Starbucks coffee in the morning. I know everybody loved that. It was everybody's favorite. But like I would send them that contract and say, here's guaranteed work for this period of time. I need to know in 10 days whether or not our offer is still on the table for you. And I would get emails back from people that would say, well, I don't want to leave the city because I'm waiting to hear if I'm going to get a call back for this audition that I did. And I go, okay, have fun waiting for the callback that isn't even the job. Like it was infuriating because there was one version of the dream that they had, and it was the one from the movies where they pack up their 2 little suitcases. And packing up your 2 little suitcases, for some reason in the movies, actors don't pack up their suitcases from the Midwest and go out to New York, and then when they're in New York, book a job back in the Midwest and pack up their 2 little suitcases and get back on the train and go back out to the Midwest to be an actor. But that's how it goes a lot of the time. So yeah, I love that, Paul. What do you guys think? Thoughts on Paul's?
Paul, something that really struck me with you, like you said, like this may be the choice you have to make right now, but you can make another choice down the road. And I think that's so important, especially for younger people, to realize you have time. You have time on your side, and you can change your mind and you can change your dreams, and it's okay. And it's okay to redefine what success is for you over time. Like professors in college, a lot of them, once they get married and settle down with kids, like they were performers nonstop. Now they perform on the side and they're teaching the next generation because they need a little more stability for the family that they've created, right? They've changed their dreams, and that's absolutely fine. And I think you have to realize that you have time on your side and you can change your mind, and it's okay. It is okay. No one's going to judge you, and anyone who would is not your friend.
Yeah, I could not agree with that more. What was I gonna say? I like get so wrapped up in what everyone is saying. But yeah, I know what it was. And Miss Katie, you just made me think of it. And like find good people in your life too, because I always find that if I'm in a place and doing theater and like technically doing what I love and working and like being able to live and support myself, like if I don't have a strong community of people that are going to support me the way that I would support a close friend or what have you, then it's hard for me. So finding good people to go along with that.
I love that. Yeah, I think the choices that bring you closer to others, the choices that bring you closer to joy, I think I love the idea of that. And like that's some great advice. It really is. So the thing I wish I had known is sort of similar, Paul, to be honest. And I've said this to younger people in the last couple of years because it's something that I have experienced firsthand in a very real way in my career. And it is basically that like dreams change. And it's okay for your dream to change. When I was younger and like wanting to be a teacher, my dream changed. Like I realized, you know what, this would bring me joy to try to be an actor. And I did that, but you have realizations and things occur. Your dream isn't going to be your same dream for the rest of your life. And I think for a lot of young people in particular, the pressure of a dream, like you have a dream, and then the pressure of that dream sometimes becomes difficult to bear. Like it's a burden. And I so often meet young performers, and I was a young performer like this as well, who have an objective or something that they want to achieve. And it isn't about where they are now. It's about where they want to go. So they miss so many things in their life and miss so many opportunities for joy because they're focused on something that isn't. So for me, I remember when I directed a show for the first time and produced a show for the first time, I made that happen for myself. I was like, I kind of want to explore what this is. So I raised some money. I rented a venue in Chicago, which is not easy, by the way. It's a thing, and I'm very thankful I did it. It's taught me to be a lot nicer to people than people were to me. But rented a venue in Chicago, cast the show, and we didn't make any money. We came out $1,000 in the hole, but it was a show I wanted to do in a space I wanted to do it in a time that I wanted to do it. And I learned a ton. I actually booked a commercial during the production period of that play. And I had been running my own lights because I couldn't afford to pay anybody to do it. And I asked a friend of mine who lived in the city to hey, can you sit down and run my light board? And he said, sure. And that is the person who hired me for my first professional job as a director that I didn't have to pay for myself. So I decided to explore directing, and there was something about it that was fulfilling to me. And it took me a really long time to realize that sometimes I was happy doing theater, sometimes I wasn't happy. And I couldn't figure out what was the difference between those two things. And I felt the most connected to my audience and the best about myself and my performances when I felt that I was affecting people's life in the moment for the better. And when I figured that out, the nature of my dreams changed. And it's not a failure when you figure something like that out. So when I realized that, I was like, well, how can I affect more people? How can I branch out more? And that is what led me to arts administrations. And I know that that sounds crazy, but all of you watching, all of you students, you are the reason that my dreams changed. My dreams changed so that I could help you find yours. That became the thing, helping you create moments of joy for yourself and moments of joy for other people. That ripple, it wasn't just about who I was as a person by myself anymore. And if I had talked to myself in my 20s, that person in my 20s was very concerned about herself and how she was going to create that joy for herself. Because I love being on stage. It is like the Mamma Mia curtain call, Miss Katie, is still one of the most joyful expressions in my entire life that I have ever had. But it was selfish. Like that was selfish joy for me in my 20s. When it radiates out and it becomes something bigger, it became something better in my life. And my dreams changed. I followed a different sparkly object. There's a great book by Elizabeth Gilbert. Is that it? She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. It's called Big Magic. It's called Big Magic. And she talks about how if you see something shimmering in the distance, if there's something where like, okay, I'm a writer or I'm an actor, I'm focused on this, I'm a dancer dances. I'm a lyricist. I do this is the thing that I do. If you see if oil painting is a shimmering object over here, that's like, I'm oil painting. I don't have anything to do with your dreams, but I'm shimmering over here. It's saying to you, there's something calling to you about that little shimmering thing. Follow it. It's not going to hurt you to follow that shimmering light. Find it. If something is calling to you, go to it. Go to Hobby Lobby, get yourself some paints and figure it out. And it might be something that you do for a day and you might have a ridiculous painting, but it could be something that gives you moments of joy. Follow them. It's not failure. You don't have to be super focused on one thing. Follow those extra dreams.
And yes, it is Elizabeth Gilbert.
Thank you. Sometimes I talk or stop talking long enough to breathe, and Paul can answer a question from 20 minutes ago. That was a lot, everyone. Sorry.
Do not apologize. That was beautiful.
This is the emotional episode.
Yes,
It is.
it is. It is. It's good though. It's great. I mean, Miss Katie, have you ever had like something call to you, like a little shimmering thing that had nothing to do with your job? Like, have you ever had that?
So I think for me, I mean, I think it's kind of happening right now, right? Like right now, I'm about to hit 30 in July, y'all. I'm hitting 30. But there are things in my life in the past 2 years that have changed drastically. Like I fell in love with a guy and he has a little girl, she's 5, and like so I'm stepping into the step parent life, right? And trying to be a part of her life and cultivate this family that we're building together. And she's here in Michigan and I'm in Chicago and he's in Chicago with me. And so like we travel on the weekends to get back to her for our weekend visitations. And right now with the pandemic, we're staying in Michigan with his parents so that we're closer to her if something were to happen. And plus, my job, I'm working remotely right now. I can't be in the building kind of situation. And he's not working right now. And so it's just easier to stay in one place so we're not traveling back and forth to save a little money right now when things are so up in the air. But like the camps that we're doing with Goshen Theater, like it's raising a whole bunch of questions for me. Like, where do I need to be? And like, I'm probably gonna cry.
You're fine. I love it.
So where do I need to be? And I love being in Chicago. It's someplace that I kind of just landed on accident in a lot of ways, because when I was graduating, it was either LA or it's New York, right? I had done showcases in both had gone very well. I had gotten good responses, but I didn't know where I wanted to go. And right out of college, I had just gotten a new vehicle because my old one died on me, and I had contracts that I needed a vehicle to get to. And so it was coming up to it was the year after I graduated, because I had stayed home for like a year and a half and worked by like traveling out of Sullivan, Missouri. And I needed to decide where I wanted to go, because I didn't want to be in Sullivan anymore. I felt trapped a lot of ways. It's a very small town. And I just felt like I was trapped. And so I wanted to find a new home base, and I didn't know where I wanted that to be. And I remembered a conversation, and I actually have it recorded, I stumbled upon it, with 2 of my professors at my senior assessment, where I asked them, where do you think I should go? And they told me, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't know. And they're like, flip a coin. And if you chose one and your heart skipped a beat in a bad way, that's not the right choice. And at the very end of that, one of my professors says, and there's always Chicago to think about too. And I thought, maybe I should try Chicago. I'd already been there. I liked it there. I knew there was a base of MSU alumni up there who would welcome me with open arms and offer me a couch to stay on until I found my own place. And I had a car, and I knew that it was totally feasible to have my car in Chicago. And so I was like, well, if it gets me out of Sullivan, I'm going. And so I did. And like, it was the best thing I ever did. It's where I feel most at home, because I'm not stuck. There's always something going on. And although I spent most of the time the past, I moved up in 2004, so 6 years, I've spent most of the time in those 6 years of living in Chicago out of the city on gigs, and subletting my apartment to strangers. But like, I always knew going home was okay. And I'd never felt that way before. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my family in Sullivan, but I hate being in Sullivan for long periods of time because, no offense,
And now we
Sullivan,
can't
I
sell
love you
camps
all.
in Sullivan. No
Sorry.
virtual program in Sullivan, Missouri.
But I say all this rambling because now all right, I'm going back to the original thing. Now I'm thinking, well, should we be moving closer to Michigan? And like, should I be looking for a teaching position for a theater, for an education program? Or, where can I get hired on full time up this way for theater so that I can still do what I love and be close to the ones I love and where I need to be to help raise this little girl. And so there's a lot of changes going on, and I'm hitting that age where everything starts to be questioned and change and evolve, because that's what it is. It's an evolution. And like, it's not forever. Like, we were literally just talking the other day, like, once his little girl hits the age of 18 and she no longer needs us there to raise her, like, that's 13 years away. What's 13 years? I just hit 7 years from graduating college. That's not a big deal. Like, what's the big deal? It's 13 years.
You'll
So,
basically be my age at that point. So
Amber, look.
it's fabulous.
And you make it look fabulous, so you're winning.
Stop, Katie.
So all that to say that my life is changing right before your eyes, and let's all just see where Miss Katie lands.
Also, Katie, I'll point out that, like, very smart if you're going to be traveling, especially much easier to sublet a Chicago apartment than a New York apartment.
Mhm.
If you got to pick a city for home base, not only Chicago in the middle of a lot of great regional theaters, but real estate there is so much better.
Oh, and it's so much bigger, y'all. My apartment is huge compared to anyone I know that lives in New York.
You came here for what's your shimmering dream off the path, and you're getting Chicago real estate advice, kids. How
You're
about
welcome.
you? How about you, Miss Molly? Have you ever had like something call to you from off the path?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess so. So I've always been in many different ways. I've always been a very athletic person. I was a competitive swimmer when I was growing up, and I was like really big into competitive swimming, like swimming before school, swimming after school. But I was also, I mean, I've always done theater, so I was also doing theater, and so like it got to the point where I had to choose, and I knew that theater was where my life was going, so I had to give up swimming. So I've always just been athletic, and I really enjoy moving my body and dancing and like doing all of these things. So I think once I got to college, there were just like, like real life things were just like starting to happen, and like learning how to deal with those sorts of things. I just like really like knew that I like loved working out and fitness, but I wasn't really sure like how that fit into my life. And I think that like the reason I love theater is because I connect with people so much, but fitness in that time helped me so much that I sort of had this thing where I was like, I want to be able to do this and like help other people, and like use exercise as a tool to just like enhance their life and bring them confidence and joy and all these things. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get my group fitness certification, because like Miss Katie said, I wanted to do something as part of like my day job eventually that I really enjoyed. So I was thinking about that, and yeah, so I did it. And I remember when I got that certification, I was like, wow, I wanted to do this thing, and I did it. Like no one else was like, you should do this, or no one else said you shouldn't do this. It was completely me. It was like everything that I wanted to do, and this like passion I had found on my journey. And now that this summer is a lot different than I thought it was going to be. Right now I'm studying to be a personal trainer. That's what I'm devoting a lot of my time to during the day, is this online personal training program, because I love the idea of like being able to have clients and help them with their goals, and you know, like be able to share that with other people. So yeah, that's been one. There's like been times where I've been like, you know what, I want to be a speaker and like write a book, or there was like a hot second where I was like, I'm going to be a missionary. I'm going to do all these things. So like, yeah, I follow those things to an extent, and then bring it into what I do and who I am.
Yeah, they're not going to distract you to a point to change your objective
No,
as a
no.
person. Like, but not following, there are so many people that give you the advice that you shouldn't follow those little things. Paul, have you ever had a little shimmering voice?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is when I was about 16, I wanted to put on a pirated production of The Last 5 Years. I'm sorry, Jason Robert Brown, but I really wanted to do it. and I didn't have any of the instrument parts, so I started listening to the album incessantly and reading the vocal selection sheet music that I had and figuring out sort of what the instrument parts are, because I had friends who played those instruments, and I was like, I'm going to write out the parts myself. And so I started using a computer program called Finale to do that, and I found that I really enjoyed it. It was only kind of tangential to what I really liked doing, which was the composition or the music directing thing. But creating the parts was really fun for me, and looking at a layout and learning more about what makes music legible. And then that turned into what my day, here we are, we're coming full circle. Again, it's about finding a day job that you like. And that's, my day job is kind of my main career right now. It's this music copying. And I really love it. The other thing I was a camp counselor at a performing arts camp when I was a kid. And we used a camcorder to record the shows that we made. And one summer, the counselors all stole the camcorder over the course of the summer and got a bunch of hidden footage and cut it together into a mockumentary style, like what's it like behind the scenes at camp. And every year we had a little party for the counselors all together, and we showed it. And then a few years later, the director of the camp was like, we're adding a video class. Do you want to teach it? I had made this one thing, but I always thought it was a cool thing to storytelling through how you cut videos together and things like that. And that just grew and grew. And now it's something that I really enjoy doing. I just made this huge video thing that Miss Amber was in that won this contest, humble brag. But from that, I've gotten calls from professional people who are like, well, hey, who did your editing? Because I'm interested in, and that's not a day job. And that's something that, again, I just find really interesting and fun. And if it brings me some work, cool. But it's still something that isn't a creative outlet for me that isn't strictly musical theater.
Yeah, it's about finding things that bring you joy, because the more joyful you are, the more joyful your performances will be and all of that. I think that's great. So that is episode 7 of our Goshen Theater Drama Club Table Talks. It was a deep one, kids. We had a lot of wisdom. There's some tears, there's some laughs. Whew.
Friends became enemies, enemies became friends.
Cats and dogs getting along. So next week's episode, I promised that I teased that at the beginning of the episode. I promised I'd let you guys know. Next week, it's Creative Quarantine, coping with our hard times through art. We're going to talk a little bit about the things that we've been up to during quarantine to sort of keep ourselves engaged with our performing, because performing is one of the things that you need in performing is an audience. And we can't gather. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Some fun stuff that we think you could do on quarantine, the Goshen Theater Drama Club, maybe. That's maybe a fun quarantine activity. Hint. So we'll be talking about that stuff next week. And maybe we'll rustle up a couple special guests here and there for that one. If you guys have suggestions for episodes, or you have questions about today's episode, like what brand of Kleenex we use when we're crying,
just the good old hand.
Just make sure you drop those in the comments, or you can put them on the Facebook as well. We look forward to chatting with you. If you want more information on Goshen Theater Drama Club, head over to goshentheater.com. The link is in the description here. And yeah, Miss Molly, parting words of wisdom. Anything?
Ooh, take my online dance classes.
Yes, Molly has every Thursday right now. She's doing dance classes almost every Thursday with Miss Molly. So take a look at those. Miss Katie, any parting words of wisdom?
Sorry I cried, but also we are emotional warriors. That is what an actor is. So
exactly.
Today I'm an emotional warrior.
Yes, exactly. And Paul, anything? Parting words?
Run towards the things that scare you.
Unless it's snakes.
Even if it's snakes, they're more scared of you than you are of them.
No.
No.
Do not ever listen to Paul. I think
that's my wisdom. Just don't listen to the thing I say.
Listen to Paul. Well, this has been an episode. Thank you guys for tuning into episode 7 of Goshen Theater Drama Club Table Talks. Next week, Creative Quarantine, Coping with Hard Times Through Art. We cannot wait. Send us those questions. Visit goshentheater.com for more info on Drama Club. And thank you guys for tuning in and being such loyal, awesome watchers. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.